Yeah, you always catch me in
You did it again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Female Male Perspective. I'm Tina Valiant, and my co-host Eddie Cunningham is with me here, and we are wrapping up our dating series today with You Broke the Ice, and now it's time to go fishing.
I still love that fat polar bear analogy. So if you guys are watching this one and you haven't seen the other two, go back and watch the other two. They all lead into each other. And we've even talked about maybe adding a fourth to this, which is what do we do kind of after the fact? Now that we're talking, how do we date healthy? I think that'll be a fun podcast as well.
Absolutely.
Today, we're going to focus on making a great profile. How do we attract the people that we want? And how to kind of filter through that. So one of what were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say that, one of the things that we talked about in the previous two episodes was that online dating has really become a thing because how else do you meet people in today's day and age? You don't want to go to bars or, places like that. It's great to be introduced by friends, but people tend to be more reclusive these days, especially with COVID and all of the other stuff out there. And so how do you meet people that you can start a relationship with? And online dating seems to be one of the best ways to do that. And it is how I met my boyfriend 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think COVID's just become the excuse to be an introvert.
I agree. And I am not interested in Zoom dating or anything like that. Like, I think it's ridiculous. You can't really get to know somebody when it's just like this. So
it's funny. I had a friend that's a serious introvert, and she's like, I feel sorry for everyone else going through COVID right now. She's like, I've been training for this my whole life.
I have a lot of introvert friends like that. Yeah, they're like, this is no different for me.
So let's talk about then, since we're mostly interacting online nowadays, whether that's through a dating site, whether it's through social media, whatever it is, let's talk about how do we put our best but most honest face forward. And it's kind of the most important part of creating your profile. Too many people, and every single person out there needs to agree to this because I'm sure you've already seen it. So many people would put we call it the best foot forward, but to me, it's just a mask. It's not the true them. I work really hard on my social media and whatnot to be me without apology. You look at my little, whatever you call it, the motto under my thing, it says unapologetically a work in progress, and I always will be. We need to not be afraid of that, really, for two reasons. One, excuse me, allergies are getting to me. We lose a part of ourselves when we don't put our true self forward, and we start living these lies. We start moving more towards the narcissistic side of the spectrum instead of just being true to ourselves. But on top of that, when you're not putting your true self forward, the people that you attract into your life are not going to be true to who you are. And they're not going to really truly fit with you. You're going to be trying to, sticking that proverbial square peg into the round hole, and it's just not worth it. It's better to put the real you forward and have the people who really don't want to fit into that kind of a life not be there. Just be honest about who you are and who you want to be in the road that you're on, and let people show up. So first and foremost, let's work on being honest in our profiles. One of the biggest mistakes that I have seen on dating profiles is what I call the bad fisher. And this, in the last episode, we were talking about how I kind of equate dating to sales and marketing because they do go hand in hand. So many amazing analogies. But one of them, a mentor had told me when he was teaching a sales seminar that I took from him. And he said, the problem with you guys when you're out fishing is you buy the best fishing pole, you buy the best hook or the best lure, and you buy the best bait, and you got the best clothes and the coolest lawn chair with the fishing pole sticks in it. Like, you've done all this prep for it. And then you cast it out there. And as soon as a fish even looks towards your bait, you reach into the water, you grab the fish, and you shove the entire can of worms down that fish's throat. And he goes, and that's the way most of you do sales. And the truth is, if you go out and read profiles on these dating sites, that's the way most of you are putting your profiles out there. You're shoving the entire can of worms. The worst thing you can do, and this is what most people do, is they get on there and they try to write and create this profile that tells every possible thing that you think everyone's going to want to know about you so they can make a decision on whether they want to marry you.
Right.
That's just overkill. Well, I mean, some of these what do you call them?
It's like a novel.
Yeah, it's the whole description of yourself and your life is literally like should be broken up into chapters, and I have to take a break halfway through reading them, and no one's going to go through that.
No.
So let's talk about in surveys that have been done over and over and over again, what is the first thing that pulls someone to your profile?
I think there has to be something interesting about you.
Right, but what's the first thing? What makes someone stop to even? Because honestly, what you write, nobody even goes to.
It's your photos.
It's your photos, absolutely.
It is.
And people can complain about it all they want, and they can say, "Well, it's not fair. Like, why are people so shallow?" Well, it doesn't matter, because the people that are claiming that they wish people weren't shallow are doing the same thing. It's pictures that stop them.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we're going to talk about with creating an efficient profile for dating is the pictures. After that, we're going to go into how to create a good story behind who you are that paints who you are and what you want. And then we're going to go into, I have it written down as professional, but we're going to basically go into who you are and how to be thorough about what you're looking for. And then some dating sites actually require you to put in your physical appearance. And we're going to go into depth about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be more of a personal delve into who you are and what your insecurities are or what your securities are. So an efficient profile is like a colorful resume. All right. You just want to give enough information to pique interest, but still leave plenty to be explored. Okay. Especially to be explored in person. Back to the fishing analogy. If you're a good fisherman knows that the fish, when it looks at it, is just showing interest. And then the fish comes over and it'll taste it just a tiny bit and then it swims away. And then it comes back, tastes a little bit more, and then swims away. And then eventually comes back, and that's when it's committed. That's when you finally set the hook. For us in the dating world, that's the third or fourth date. Too many of you try to set the hook on your dating profile before you've even interacted with these people. It's not where you're supposed to set the hook. And again, it's just an analogy. I'm not really saying that we should be out hunting and catching and making people come home with us. So efficient profiles, good profiles like a colorful resume is just meant to give enough information to pique interest. And you want to leave plenty to be explored so that you keep having these aha moments as you get to know each other. So
and I have a question about that. So
yeah.
Men, from a female perspective, right? Men seem to be, of course, they're more singularly focused. Most men are not going to read like this huge paragraph about who you are and all this kind of stuff. I actually bullet pointed my profile for men because it was simple. It was to the point. I gave little facts about myself and said, if you want to know more, message me.
No, and that's perfect. Actually, bullet points is something that I suggest all the time. Mm-hmm. If you really want to know how to make a great profile, especially the written part of it, go look at YouTube videos on how to make a great resume. Mm-hmm. I'm dead serious about that analogy. If you can make a fantastic resume, you can make a fantastic dating profile. So that's one of the things we were going to suggest. That's great. Bullet points are fantastic.
It worked a little too well for me.
Did it?
Yeah. Like they were like, okay, this girl is to the point. Like I'm going to message her. And that's why it became a full-time job. I was like, okay. And they actually read the bullet points. Like they were asking me questions about the bullet points.
See, and that's good. We're actually going to get into that later too. Like I've said in the last podcast, I was getting like 3 or 4 new people a day messaging me, and that was overwhelming for me to keep up. I don't know how you ladies do it with your 20 to 40 a day. Like that's just, it's too much. You almost need to hire a personal assistant to filter through them for you. I know some of the sites.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. But some of the sites are working on algorithms to kind of actually do that for you, even in your messages, which would help a lot.
So my daughter and I counted, I didn't even want to go on a site. And my daughter was like, Mom, it's time for you to start meeting people again. We need to put you on a site so you can start at least talking to people. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And so I bullet pointed it like I had years ago, and put recent photos up, full body. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, as well as, because I'm not everybody's taste. I'm totally okay with that. We counted over 300 messages in a 3-day period. Like, how do you even, at that point, you can't help but be shallow, because you're looking at the picture and you're like, okay, I'll click that message. Like, you don't know what else to do, because how do you go through 300 of them?
Well, and there's nothing wrong with filtering by pictures first. Everyone's going to do it. Everyone does it. I do it too. I'm going to be honest.
And I have a funny story about that, actually, when we dive into the photos.
Well, that's where we're heading. So let's talk about photos. So most importantly, high quality. All right. None of this grainy stuff, none of this dark backgrounds, dark foregrounds where you can hardly see your face. You got to have good lighting. And one of the newest trends, which I'm actually in favor of, are like short videos and even TikToks. Okay, but don't inundate your profile with those. That should be kind of one of the last things that you post on it. But even the new, like the TikToks and whatnot, are kind of a funny way for you, or a good way to show humor, to show, a little bit about who you are, maybe a nerdy side or maybe a professional side or whatever you decide to do. But it's a unique and different way to kind of stand out. So short videos and even TikToks are going to be okay. So let's hear your story about the pictures, and then we'll get into how to do it right.
So I met this cool guy. We had some great conversations, and his photo was great. I'm not one who likes really skinny people. Like, it's not my thing. I like bigger people. So, and not like obese or anything like that, but just, I like bigger people. I don't like the really slender look, right? It's not my thing. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Abercrombie models.
What was that?
None of the Abercrombie models.
No, I don't want to see bones and like that kind of stuff. Like, I want a man, like a real man, right? One that I can cuddle with and hold. So I'm talking to this guy. His picture was great. He was a little on the thinner side, but like, he had a great personality. We had started chatting. We talked on the phone a few times. And towards the end, he says to me, I have to be honest with you about something. I'm like, okay, this is never good. I'm like, what? He goes, well, my photos are a little bit older, and I changed my photos because I wasn't getting the responses that I wanted from my current photos. I'm like, okay, what does that mean exactly? And he's like, well, I just think that it's sad that this has become so shallow, and that people only care about, your physical appearance and blah, blah. So I'm thinking like we got a serious like chubber here. Like, what's going on? Like, did he gain 200 pounds? Like, what is it? Right.
Oh, so this is before you guys actually met.
Right. This is before we met. It's on the phone. And he goes, well, but we've had some really great conversations, and I would like to send you a photo of what I really look like. And I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being upfront and honest. That's totally cool. I said, no, I can tell you that the photos that I have posted have been in the last 2 weeks. I would even change them to make sure they were even more current. So, and he's like, okay, well, that's good. Definitely like how you look and whatever. So I'm braced, right? I'm totally braced. And he sends me this photo after he had been telling me that he had thyroid issues and Hashimoto's disease and like all this kind of stuff, and that his weight had been majorly fluctuating. So he sends me this photo. He put on like 50 pounds of muscle. He was pure, like he was like huge, like this big muscular dude. And I'm prepared for something just horrid. And he says this to me, and I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, are you being for real with me here? What are you doing with your screen, man?
Oh, my thing fell, my little holder. Technical difficulties.
So, are you good? There you go. You're in. Okay. So, I mean, it was just kind of crazy. he didn't want people to be attracted to him just because he was big and muscular. He wanted them to get to know him as a person before they learned that about him. And it was just so, it was so backwards. I was like looking at the photo going, why were you afraid I wouldn't be okay with this? Like, I don't understand. And he's like, well, no, the point is that I wanted you to be okay with me either way.
Okay.
I'm like, all right. Okay. Well, I mean, we've been talking for a week now. Like, you know, I never met him in person though. So
that's interesting. So I've never heard a story like that. Like instead, it's usually the opposite. It's usually 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even 10 years ago. One lady that I went on a date with, they were over 15 years old, and she had put on at least 200 pounds. And that was the one I had said the other day that I just was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but you know, if you'd been honest about things, then I would have probably carried through it, at least had dinner with you. But you know, starting off with a lie just isn't something that works for me.
yeah.
I just can't do it. Integrity and honesty is really, really important to me. And once that's broken, that's hard. Which is again why we should start off honest with ourselves about who we are and really what we want. You know, do we really want the stuff that's being sold to us on advertising, or do we really want, you know, real people?
Sure.
So pictures, scroll up. So high quality. Some people are even going with like professional pictures nowadays. Not a bad idea, especially if you can afford it, or if you got a buddy that does really good photos. Do it. Make sure they're good lighting. Again, we talked about short videos. So your main profile picture is the most important one when it comes to attracting people to want to know more about you. That's the one that's going to make somebody stop and make you stand out. It should never be a selfie. And I mean, I'm talking about like the arm extended selfie. Like it shouldn't be a selfie. It
Or
should
in the
be
mirror.
someone else taking a picture of you.
The ones in the mirror are hilarious to me.
What's that?
The ones where they're standing in the mirror and they're holding their phone and you can see like their picture in the mirror, them holding their phone.
Yes, actually, we were going to talk about that in just a second. That's one of the huge no-nos that is a turnoff for men. The bathroom selfies.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the no-nos. Oh, so no more of this, ladies. I need you to listen to this because men, real men, we're sick of this. There's two types of pictures that I'll be real. I don't care if she looks cute or not. I kind of just go on. No more of the 3/4 elevated boob and face shots where you're holding the camera up here looking up. We all know that you're trying to hide things or you're only trying to show off your boobs. And if the kind of attraction you're going to get from that is not long-term. Again, we talked last episode about be honest with yourself. If you're just looking to fill time, if you're just looking to fill a void, be honest with yourself about it. Those kinds of pictures are perfect because you're showing them exactly what you want them to be interested in. And that's a big part of it. When you post your pictures, you're showing them what you want them to be interested in and what you're looking for. So no more of these. These are old school. Don't do it. I saw a meme the other day. I don't know why this keeps falling.
All of a sudden you start fading.
I saw a meme the other day with Yoda, and it was girls before Snapchat filters, girls after. So it was like Yoda all old, you know, Return of the Jedi before he was getting ready to pass. And then there was like this totally blurred out Yoda. And it is so true. Okay. Men are over the filters. We are. I get you think you look better and whatnot, but stop. A real man wants to know the real you. They want to see the real you. So stop with these filters.
Well, and here's what I want to say about that. Okay. The bottom line is this. Let's say I filter myself. Okay. And then we meet in person. I don't even look like the filtered photo anymore because I made my eyes bigger, made my lips bigger, like made my eyes more blue than they already are. Like all this stuff.
All the wrinkles.
Yeah. So, you know, you're going to meet in person. If that's your ultimate goal, you're going to meet in person. They're going to see you.
Yep.
They're going to so why not just be you? And
Yes.
I wanted to piggyback on what we were just talking about with men are over this whole, like the boob shot and whatever. I gotta tell you, women are over the man who's like standing there and doesn't have a shirt on and whatever, and he's like, yeah, here I am, like put some damn clothes on.
All right.
I say that to women too. Don't be standing there in a bikini. Like put some damn clothes on.
Well, and I'll say this. If there, I don't see anything wrong with those kinds of pictures. If you got a great body, there's nothing wrong with showing it off, but that needs to be like the 5th or 6th picture that you have up there. It should never be your profile picture. The profile picture is what is going to be the main thing that filters out the good from the bad people, or the good from the healthy, the unhealthy, however you want to term that. But you're showing them what you want them to be interested in your very first contact with them, and that's your profile picture. So if you got a great body, if you're into fitness and you want to show that off, great, nothing wrong with that. I say just do it further down the line, so it's one of the last pictures that you have. No more folders with 150 pictures in it.
That's a thing.
Yeah, I've seen profiles that have just like, it's like their Facebook, it's like where they store all their photos or something. I mean, it's insane. You really only need an efficient profile, really only needs 5 to 6 pictures total, and that's it. Again, this is about just getting people interested enough to get them to want to reach out to you. So my suggestion is a great profile pic, full body. Again, not a selfie. Someone else needs to take it. High quality, great lighting, etc. 1 to 2 face shots, and the important part of that. So do some close-ups of your face. Those can be selfies. Please smile with teeth. So if you're smiling like this, I'm going to assume you either have dentures or your teeth are just gnarled.
Right.
We want to see teeth, and I hear that from women too. This just isn't a man thing. I mean, I'm kind of talking from the male perspective on what we look for, but tell me I'm wrong. It's one of the biggest complaints I hear about guys' pictures.
Well, and I agree with that. And ladies, you do have to be careful too with the resting bitch face. Okay. Like I had one photo where it was kind of like a half smile, half not. And my boyfriend almost did not message me because he's like, oh, she kind of has a bitchy face. And I was like, but I really don't. And he's like, but that picture said you did.
So before you post, you need to have your friends look at it and tell you what they think, especially if you have like,
Right.
ladies, if you got a guy friend who's willing to
Yes.
be honest with you, guys, if you have a girl that'll be honest with you. That's
right. Ask
where you
the
both
opposite
do that.
sex. Ask your friends that are the opposite sex for sure, because they have a different opinion. Like ladies, if I ask my lady friends, like, hey, like, what do you think of this photo? They're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And it could be the worst photo of you ever. Your male friends will be brutally honest with you, but take what they say. Take it. And Ed sent me a couple of photos for like the podcast. And I was like, no, these are not the photos we're using. This looks like, well, what did I say? It looked like you had been arrested, an arrest profile.
Wait, which picture was that?
It was the photo we actually ended up using.
Really? Because I know I had sent some for fun. I mean, I sent like a picture of a monkey smiling and a couple other ones, but
the ones that were legit, I'm like, no, I need one of you smiling. We need to show that you're approachable.
yeah, it's funny. That's I'm sitting here talking about putting your true face forward. In the end, you can do your absolute best to put the most honest foot forward, but people will still view you through their filter. So when people see me on podcasts, or they see me in a news interview, or they see me, whatever I'm doing out in the public, and then they meet me in person, almost every single person goes, wow, you are nothing like what I thought. And the reason is because for some reason, my online persona comes across, maybe not so much in these podcasts, but I guess it comes across very stern, very like intense. And I could be an intense guy, but again, usually I'm talking about cancer in the fire service, or I'm talking about, political stuff, or something real serious.
Mhm.
And I guess I come across really almost intimidating, but then they meet me and they're like, you're just a big nerd. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
goofy.
you're a total goofball. You
Oh,
really
I
are.
am.
And that kind of stuff has to come out in your photos. And for me, I can be apparently I'm an intimidating person in person. I don't know why I'm an intimidating person in
I
person.
ain't scared of you.
Apparently people are like, "Ooh, you're so intimidating." I'm like, "Why?" Especially when I had black hair. Apparently when I had black hair, I was seriously intimidating.
That's why I shaved mine off,
Right,
so I'm
right. It's so much
not so
easier. Like
intimidating.
this is just a pain in the butt. Yeah. So okay,
All
back
right.
on track.
So main profile, and then 1 to 2 face shots with teeth, smile with teeth, people. And no sunglasses for the close-ups of the face. That's one of the biggest complaints I get from women all the time, is that men constantly have the sunglasses on. Women want to see your eyes. So eyes and teeth, very important in the face ones.
Mhm.
And again, I'm talking also from the male perspective, so I need you to chime in from the women's perspective, especially on this one. So 1 to 2 full body shots, not hiding behind your kids or objects. Almost every, because you have to have full body shots. If you're doing full body shots and you're hiding behind your kid, or you're hiding behind a tree, or
Right.
or a bush or a car or something like that, to us, we're going, okay, you're insecure about your body.
Mhm.
And it's not that men aren't attractive to different types of women. If you guys all sometimes get it in your head that we're only attracted to that perfect model body, we're not.
Mhm.
There's so many different kinds of men out there who are attracted to so many different kinds of women.
Mhm.
Let that happen. Be proud of who you are. Don't take your insecurities and try to think that everyone else is going to view you in that negative way as well.
Yep.
Again, a lot of what we're going through with these podcasts are going to bring up things for you. It's important that instead of judging yourself harshly, you talk to yourself, you give yourself love, and you work through these. These can be gifts. As you're building your profile and you start getting insecure about these pictures, talk to yourself why. Sit down and literally talk to yourself and ask yourself
Mhm.
why you're having them and how you can move forward with them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, do guys profiles, do they do that too? They hide behind things. I know one of the big complaints I've heard from women is that the puppy dog or the too many photos of a guy fishing.
For me, it's the car. Yeah. So, okay,
Interesting.
listen. If you don't want women attracted to you for your money, stop posting your material possessions. Okay, yeah, if you have a BMW or, like some high performance car or a vet or whatever, great, good for you. I don't sit there and post pictures of me and my big black truck. But the bottom line is part of it is because I'm not trying to attract people that want what I have. I want a real person. So if you are tired of women gold dinging you, then stop leading with your material possessions.
And I'm glad you said it that way too, because when you first post your profile online, if you start getting the same kind of people reaching out to you and you don't like it, chances are there is something in your profile that is triggering those people to want to reach out to you. Now, yeah, there's always those guys that reach out to every single girl they possibly can, just hoping someone responds to them. But if you start getting the same kind of guy, you got to go back and tweak your profile. Again, not a bad thing. It's just something to keep in mind. All right, so you're
Absolutely.
saying girls are kind of sick of the guys taking pictures with their really cool cars
Or their bomb motorcycle or whatever. Now it's one thing if you're posting it because you're showing like this is something that I love to do. But so many times I saw photos of men standing in front of their bougie vehicle with no shirt on, and like, yeah, this is me. Like you're not a car model. Be authentic, have some substance.
all right, so I can still post a picture of me on my Harley.
Well, yeah, because that's one of your passions.
Okay.
But it's not because you're trying to show off. It's just one of your passions.
No. All right. I was just totally joking. But again, those kinds of photos, like you're talking about things that are about your passion and whatnot, those should be more towards the end,
Mm-hmm.
right? Start with your
Mm-hmm.
main profile, then you go to your face shots with the teeth, with the eyes, then you go to your full body shots, not hiding behind anything. And then I always suggest about 2 to 3 action shots that tell something interesting about you. So this is where I would put my motorcycle picture, like a picture of me out on a ride The other day we did Bikers Against Child Abuse. We're doing a charity ride and we rode with them, and there was about 150 of us stretched across the 303. It was really cool. I don't know who it was behind me, but someone got a really good shot of that. That's something I would post.
Right.
It's an action shot, but 2 to 3 of those that tell something interesting about you. What are some?
For me, it was, I would post pictures of like me and like my family gatherings, because family is super important to me. So like we would all be like in the kitchen, like getting ready to have a bunch of food and stuff like that. And it was like my mom and my aunt and everybody like all in there. Plus, for me, it's like, yeah, my family does better with age. This is my mom. This is my aunt. I'm just going to keep getting better. But those are the people that are important to me. So
Sure.
I showed that. I did not post a lot of photos of my daughters.
That was exactly what I wanted to talk about next.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to show that you're family oriented. I've seen a lot of women's profiles with way too many pictures of their kids. I'm not on the fence with it anymore. I'm really leaning towards I wouldn't post any pictures of my kids. If you want to put, I have 4 kids, 14, 12, and 8, and 7 or whatever, then fine. But posting pictures of your kids, for some reason, that just, I don't know why, but that to me, especially because we had talked about the scams and stuff like that in the previous episode, that's one of those things that I shy away from. Anyone that posts nothing but pictures of their kids. And I've even seen people that they weren't even in the picture. It was just pictures of their kids. And I'm like, why is this on a dating?
I feel like you're broadcasting your children for the pedophiles out there to target you.
That's what it feels
and
like.
That's what really scared me about it. My daughters, they're beautiful, and everybody feels that way about their kids, but my daughters, like, they're really, really pretty girls. And the last thing I want is somebody trying to date me to get to one of them. Yeah. And that happens out there. And I got to tell you, there's another story about that. So I was out on a date with somebody, one date, and this is why. He was like, so you have kids, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I have 2 daughters. At the time, they were like, what? 19 and 21 or whatever. And he's like, let me see pictures. So I showed him a picture of the 2 of them. And he's like, wow, I don't think you should show me pictures of your daughter again, of my oldest daughter. And I was like, excuse me? He's like, she's beautiful. You should not show her pictures to people.
Okay.
She's really attractive. And he was totally creeping on my older daughter. And I'm like, check, please. I'll be buying my own dinner. Thank you.
Did you call him out on it or ask him?
Oh yeah, I did. And like the next day he's like, why are you ghosting me? And I said, you were crushing on my 21-year-old daughter. You're disgusting. So that was it. And I always have made sure that I don't show photos of them in profiles or anything like that, because there are creepy people out there like that, for sure. And you have to be protective of your kids with that.
Yep. Now I've seen some well done profile pics, or not even profile pics, but pictures on dating sites where it was them with their kids they'd had professionally done. That one I won't frown on too much, but if you're way heavy in that, and like I said, if you're posting pictures that you aren't even in them and it's just of your kids on your dating profiles, that I think is just moving over to the inappropriate side of things. All right, so let's recap on that real quick. So main profile should not be a selfie. It should be a nicely done photo. Have someone take it for you with good lighting that shows who you are. Not too far away though. You want to be that attraction to make someone go, oh, cool. Let me look at some more. People scroll through an average of at least 4 photos before they go on to read the bio. So photos, really, really important. Mm-hmm. Okay, great profile picture. 1 to 2 face shots with the teeth, with the eyes, 1 to 2 full body shots, not hiding behind kids or objects, and then 2 to 3 action shots, or at least, even if they're not action shots, that tell something like interesting about you, something that's unique about you. I know I have some friends that are big into like cosplay, which is where they dress up in costumes of their favorite superheroes or whatever and stuff like that. That would be a fun one to do at the end. If that's what you're into, if you go to the Comic-Con conventions and whatnot, that could be one of your last photos. That's one of those that once someone's interested, they're going through, oh, they go, wow, I go to Comic-Con too, so this is going to be good for me. Or
Yeah.
I ride Harleys too. I really like bikes. This is, I mean, that should be the clincher to make them want to come and read now about who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So now let's talk about the actual profile. Who are you? This to me is, again, I want to go back to, this is where people make a lot of the mistakes and they put way too much. You just want to give them enough to tell truthfully who you are, what you're looking for, and get them interested enough to reach out, because that's where the real, I guess, vetting process is going to be. You don't want to try and put so much on your profile that they've already made their decision before they've even talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things that I suggest you put in your who are you area is something about your faith, something about family, something about your work, your social life, and a hobby, and something surprising. Again, just like the photo, something surprising about you. Now, when I say faith, I'm not talking like just Christianity. If you're Hindu, put Hindu. If you're Buddhist, put Buddhist. If you're Muslim, put Muslim. Whatever your faith is, atheist, satanic, it doesn't matter. You put your faith in there, because faith is one of the number one qualifiers and disqualifiers for people in relationships. People like to be with people that see their spiritual side the same way. Don't be ashamed of it.
Mm-hmm.
Let it out there, but have something about your faith in there. We're going to talk about like family. You said you're family oriented. If you're not family oriented, you don't want to have kids, that's something that's important to put in your profile.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those qualifiers and disqualifiers that's very big for people.
Mm-hmm.
What you do for work, do not post where you work.
Right.
But what you do for work is not a bad thing. If you're in the middle, if you're a professional student, or if you're in the middle of careers or changing careers, put that in there. I've done IT for 12 years. I'm actually moving over into being a professional Instagram model, whatever. Put that in there. Something about your work, something about your social life. What do you do outside of work? This is where, people put hiking, canoeing, paddleboarding, Harley riding, Comic-Con, real estate seminars in Orlando, whatever. This is where you.
I saw
that. And then something about a hobby of yours. So me, I love saltwater tanks. I was in the industry for almost 2 solid decades. And I've grown exotic corals and sold them all over the place. Like it's a passion of mine. I love it. And it's something that's unique. Not a lot of people are that into the saltwater hobby, although it's become popular over the last 10 years. So that would be some kind of hobby, something that you do on the side that's kind of your escape. And then something that
I have to add to this. When I was talking about, when I bullet pointed my work, I just said, in the real estate industry, but then I put in parentheses, I'm an author, speaker, have a real estate team, but it may appear I don't have enough time to have somebody special in my life, but I do. I create my own schedule and I can make time for the right person.
Okay, so you actually put all of that in your profile?
In a bullet point, it was literally one sentence.
Interesting. And is that because you were worried that people would read that, obviously, and not think you had enough time to date, so they would skip over it?
I still got that, even though I parenthesed that I can make time for the right person, blah, blah, blah. I still had people saying to me, you're very accomplished, and I'm concerned that you're not going to have time for a relationship.
Is it possible that you created that concern by even mentioning it?
Possibly, but when I didn't mention it, that kept coming up, which is why I said I have plenty of time for the right person.
So this is great. This is exactly what I was talking about. When you start seeing the same thing happening over and over again, and it's obviously not representing you the way you want to be represented, go back. This is like you did. You went back and you tweaked it, and you put that other one in that said, "Hey, I'll make time for the right person." Now, I would have worded it a little bit differently. I wouldn't have said I'll make time for the right person, because basically what that says to me is you're like, I really don't have time for this, but if the right person comes along, I'll make time.
Right.
If you could say, one of the things I love about being a business owner is that I get to make my own schedule. My life is task oriented. I'm excited for the time I'm setting aside to find my perfect boo or hunka burning love. I don't know. I would have found a different way to write that one?
Well, I had to take it out altogether because what started happening was people would find that I was in real estate. All I would say is, real estate industry. I started getting requests on my Facebook and people finding me from real estate.
Hmm.
And because like you Google real estate surprise, I come up at the top, right? Like that's where I lived at the time. And so I had to start changing like where I lived so that they would stop finding me and messaging me. And some of those people are still on my Facebook today. Like we didn't even have like total conversations and they found me.
So, and that's really important. When you think about the information that you're putting, I'm so glad you brought this up, but when you're thinking about the information that you're putting into your dating profile, think about if they're going to be able to find you on social media from that information, which they probably will be. And if they can, what information are you putting on your social media that they might be able to use? Again, that was the previous podcast. We talked about the scams and whatnot, and how to protect yourself from that. That's really important to remember.
And Jay found me before he actually met me. He looked me up in real estate and he found me. Mm-hmm.
Well, we did talk about in the last podcast there's nothing wrong with when people reach out to you or when you see them and you could do some little background search on them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. See if they're really who they're saying they are.
Mm-hmm.
In your little bio, I love the idea of bullet points. But I want to throw something out there, and this came from being in the song industry years ago, or in the music industry years ago, doing songwriting. We would talk about paint it, don't just say it. Mm-hmm. And this is important. If you really want to attract someone to have them reach out to you, that you learn to do this. And if you're not great at it, there's nothing wrong with having a friend help you do this. And we're going to play a little game with this, but here's one of the best examples I have. Everybody puts in their profile, I love the outdoors. Okay, it's boring. We get it. Everyone loves the outdoors or whatnot. Say it like this instead. My Zen place is in a hammock by the creek that runs through my grandma's property at our old cabin up in Payson or up in the Pines or something like that. You say it like that, you're really saying the same thing, that that's your place. You love the outdoors, but you're saying it in a way that I can literally picture laying in a hammock by the creek, and here's this little cabin on the other side of the creek, and I can hear the creek now and the wind through the pines. And so paint it, don't just say it. Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of play a little game with you, and we'll try and do some examples here. But what are some things you see in profiles, and I'll try to find a different way to paint it instead of just saying it.
Must go to the gym 5 days a week.
Okay.
I saw that on so many men's profiles. It was ridiculous. And they didn't look like they went to the gym 5 days a week.
Yeah, that was the funny thing you said, yes, was that when you saw it on the profile, you knew for a fact they didn't. They just wanted somebody who was in great shape, but they didn't want to be that.
Ridiculous.
Don't ask for something you're not willing to give yourself. Period. It hurts relationships. If you can't give something, but you want it, make sure you can give it.
I did respond to a couple of them and say, so what you're really looking for is somebody to train you.
Hey, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I don't mind. I like working out. I do. When I do it, I don't do it a lot. I'd rather go hiking. I don't like to just lift weights. I enjoyed CrossFit, but it's not something that is a massive priority in my life. So when I've seen dating profiles of women who are huge into bodybuilding or huge into, the bikini contests and whatnot, I don't message them because I don't think our lives would work, because I'm not going to go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm not going to starve myself for 2 weeks before a competition.
Or eat 8 times a day.
Well, I can do that. I'm really good. I love to eat. Yeah. I'm such a foodie. Okay, so maybe saying something instead of go to the gym 5 times a week, it would be like, my goal in life is to be able to have adventures way up into my 80s, and I want my partner to be able to do that with me. So I'm very focused on staying in shape and my nutrition. It's not an obsession with me or whatever, but it's something that's very important to me. So again, you're painting it. You're saying my goal in life is that when I'm 70 years old, 80 years old, I'm still hiking mountains, exploring waterfalls with the love of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So nutrition and staying in shape is very important to me.
That's
It might
great.
be a different way to say it.
Yeah, that's a great way of painting the picture instead of just being like, this is my requirement.
All right, what else? Throw another one out here. Let's do this.
I don't even know. It's been a while. Men forever post. I like long walks, holding hands. I see that on so many male profiles. It's ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah.
Like seriously?
Oh, yeah. They're like, I love taking long walks with my loved one, holding hands, cuddling, like, and when you start seeing it on like 10 profiles that somebody created these profiles for these guys and they all say the same thing.
Oh, yeah, that's something we were going to talk about at the end, but there are professional profile creators, and no, you can't hire me to do it. Well, you could. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to do it though, because it's not something I enjoy.
Right.
I've actually had people offer, and I just named a price so ridiculously high I didn't think they'd pay it, and only one did, so I did it. But okay, so paint it. Don't just say it.
Mm-hmm.
If you need help with that, actually for fun, anyone that's listening, if you are having some trouble with any of this, message us and we'll try to give you some pointers to throw back out. We just want some feedback from you on how well that helped your profile. Mm-hmm. So paint it, don't say it. Find a creative way to do it. If you've got a friend that's a good writer that can help you with it, great, but just stay in integrity with who you are. The other thing is to be very thorough about what you're looking for as well. This is a chance to lovingly put out there what your hard no's are and what your absolute yeses are. For me, I meant what I said about I really want to be an adventurer. I want to tour the world. I want to do philanthropy worldwide. I want someone, I had a total sweetheart of a girl who I absolutely loved and adored, who was around 300 pounds, who asked me why I wouldn't give her a chance because we got along great. We were amazingly good friends. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, you and I are both in the medical industry, and what happens with people who choose to stay, morbidly obese. Like eventually you start having health issues and mm-hmm. diabetes. And, I don't want to be pushing my partner around in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I want to go on cruises. I want to explore. Now it's totally different than if I'm married to someone and in our marriage, health stuff happens. That's a totally different animals. Now what I'm talking about is, someone who's just choosing not to do their best. It's just mm-hmm. not compatible. Be thorough about what you're looking for and don't feel bad and worried about hurting people's feelings. If they choose to get their feelings hurt, that's their choice of filter. It's not yours. It's more important that you're clear up front and you don't go through the headache of having to re-explain it or end a relationship because you weren't upfront about it. So
my profile got flagged for being offensive.
What?
Because in my must-haves, can't stand, because that's what I did, was must-have, can't stand. I put no current or recovering addict. Like I can't deal with the recovering addict, right? And because you don't know if they're going to turn back at any point. Like you have no idea. And I've been down that road and I didn't want to go down that road again. And they actually pulled my profile until I changed it.
Really?
Mm-hmm, because the word addict was offensive.
So did somebody report it or was that like an automatic algorithm catch?
I don't know. It was up for like a day and then they pulled it. And it took 48 hours to get it put back up.
See, I think that's legit. I think that's being real right there. Those are the kinds of things you need to put in there. There's nothing wrong with being able to say, you know what, mentally and emotionally, I've already gone through this and I refuse to let it back into my life. I wish you the best, but this isn't for me. I want to know those things up front. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you should want to know up front.
Well, and I touched on this in our previous episode that, you know, one of my biggest things too is that I'm not a big drinker. I can drink, but I'm not a big drinker. It's not something I need every day. I may have 1 or 2 cocktails. Like, it's not, I don't like being intoxicated. I get it out of me if I even feel tipsy. Like, I don't want it. And for me, drugs, marijuana, not as big of a deal, but it can't be all day, every day, right? It can't be this addiction that controls your life, because that's the road I've been down before. So I put, you know, I have a no drug policy, and I'm not a huge drinker. I'm high on life. So come be high on life with me. And a lot of people either took offense to that or lied about it until I was in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone,
and that's a big deal.
Well, the lying, absolutely. And I get that. So I'm very much against drug use. I had a lot in my childhood that made me nervous about drugs and alcohol, period. You know, it's a real common escape for people in my family. And I witnessed the hurt and pain that can cause. And I just simply chose that that's not something I want in my life. You know, socially fine, nothing, I don't have issues with that, but people that seem to use it as an escape is an absolute red flag for me. And I won't let that in there. There's nothing wrong with putting that on your profile. Some people love to drink. They live to drink. Their entire social life is built up around that. They should know right up front in my profile that that's not something that I'm into. You know what I mean? No matter how much fun we could have together as friends, that's not something I would want a longtime partner.
I'm laughing because when I would change over to messaging with people, a lot of men all of a sudden at like 10 o'clock in the morning would send like this little text like, cheers, it's almost beer 30 at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, red flag, mayday, must run.
Yeah, unless it's like the Super Bowl or
You're on vacation
or golfing for some bachelor party. I don't know. Yeah. Well, at least they're honest. Hey,
mayday, eject.
At least they're honest, I guess. You know, it gave you a chance to say,
Right.
So again, to recap on what should be in your description, bullet points are a really good way to do it. You don't have to. If you're not going to use bullet points, at least break it up into, you know, 1 or 2 sentences for each thing. Keep it very short and sweet, just like a resume. You just want to give them enough impressive information to make them interested to find out more. And especially for us guys, women, we need you to tell us what you would like us to talk to you about. This is your chance to say, here are the things that I'm interested in life, and give us a chance to ask, you know, are you into painting? Are you into whatever? Let us know so we can ask about it. Even if it's not something we're into, you know, we don't always have to be into the exact same things that our soulmates, our loves, or our partners are into, but we can support them in it and we can be interested in it. So put some of those things out there, ladies. Let us guys know what you want to talk to us about, and we'll do that. So a person that's really interested in actually dating someone will look at the pictures and go, yeah, wow, she's cute. Oh my gosh, she's fun. Go in and you start reading and go, oh, cool. Now I know what to do. So instead of just going, hi, beautiful, or hey, baby girl, or whatever, we can actually say, hey, I noticed you went out and did a paint night. I've done one of those. What did you like about it?
Okay, that is another thing. When you do start talking to people, men, don't lead in with, thanks so much for giving me your number. Hey, babe, how are you? I'm not your babe. We haven't met in person. Like, don't call me that. Just like, you know, just be cool about that kind of stuff. Because that was one thing that drove me crazy, is when people started using all of these words like baby and love and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who are you? I've never even had a real conversation with you yet. Don't call me baby. It was offensive to me.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
No, I stay away from those things. So again, be thorough. bullet point it if you want, or at least leave it in sentences and break up each of the individual topics that you're putting in there. Have fun with this. This doesn't need to be taken so seriously. The most important thing, and this is really, again, what I want to touch on, we've talked about it through all three of these podcasts about dating and dating online. Be honest, and be honest with yourself. So if you are afraid to be honest about who you are, about your body, about your religion, about your work, about your hobbies, if you're embarrassed about those things, that's on you.
Mhm.
That's not something you should beat yourself up for, but that's something that you should be able to go, okay, wait a minute, why? Where is this fear coming from? Is it fear of rejection? Is it you're obsessed and need to have someone in your life right now, and so you're afraid of not having someone? Whatever it is, those are going to be great chances for you to work on yourself and work more on your self-mastery. If those start coming up for you while you're doing your profile, you might want to think about taking a few months and not dating and just
Right.
work on those things and work on you. Because once you put that out there, you're going to start getting messages, you're going to start getting interactions. And if you're not healthy enough, you're going to start being attracted to and attracting those things that will feed off of your unhealthiness. So don't be afraid when these things pop up to go, you know what, maybe I'm just not ready. There's too many of these fears and insecurities coming up for me, even while I'm typing this up. Let me go work on those and then come back in a couple of months.
Well, and that's one of the things that we were definitely going to talk about today too, is that when you're online dating, it's not rejection, it's not personal towards you. Everybody's looking for something different. So, I mean, I always felt horrible if I was like, yeah, I just don't think that we're a good match or whatever, because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings. It wasn't because of the way they looked or whatever. There was just something in the conversation that was just like, I don't think that we're quite going down the same road. Like, for instance, the gentleman that, sent me the picture that he was like way more buff than what he let on he was. We ended up not meeting in person, but it was because he was such an introvert. And I am at a place in my life where I'm invited to, at that point, I was in, when everything was open, I was going to tons of sporting events and different work functions and things like that. And I was looking for somebody that wanted to be a part of that with me. And that wasn't going to be him. He's like, well, I'm not really interested in going to a basketball game, but I guess I can read a book and sit there I'm like, but here's the thing. He's going to be a great guy for somebody.
Right.
Right. He just didn't fit into my world and what I was looking for in a partner. And I had to let him know that. He was kind of offended at first. Like, really? Like, I said I would go with you. And I'm like, no, I want you to participate with
Right.
me. I want it to be something that you're excited about. And if that's not you, it's probably not going to work between us, because I do a lot of those things. So I also know, and I want to say this, I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. I know that my body type, I am a thicker Caucasian woman, right? Not fat, just thicker. My body is like, I have meaty legs and stuff like that, right? It's who I am. I own that about myself. But I also know that that's not for every man out there. And that's totally okay. Some men want very thin women. Some men want more curvy women. Some men want more butt and less chest. It's different for everybody. And there's a taste for everybody out there. It doesn't mean that it's personal against me as a human being. I'm just not their taste. And that's fine. Move on. It's not personal.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know.
That,
Do guys go through that? Like, what do guys go through with that kind of thing?
as far as like taking rejection and stuff personally?
Yeah, like what are the things that men feel rejected for? Because I don't know.
Well, again, my whole philosophy is those aren't men, those are boys. I don't fear what people call rejection because I really don't care that much what other people think of me. And like you said, we talked about in the last podcast, there's so many people on this planet, so many people. It's okay if quite a few people aren't into who you are. There's nothing wrong with that, because your people, your tribe is out there. You're the person you want to be the head of your tribe is out there. You know, I wish I could get this more clearly across to people, but it is a blessing when somebody tells you they're not interested, because they are not wasting your time. It is a gift when someone says, hey, you're just not my cup of tea. So a great experience I had dating, and I actually met this girl on a dating app. We went out a few times and got along fantastically, got along great. We had so much in common, but there just wasn't a full spark there. And we both knew it. We both admitted it. Neither of us took it personally. And still to this day, she's one of my good friends. You know what I mean? And instead of trying to force it, because yeah, there was some good vibes there. Again, we had a lot in common. I loved talking to her intellectually. She was definitely on my level. And quality time was one of my love languages. Again, absolutely loved spending time with her. One of the few people that I've ever just met. And the first time I met her, I felt 100% comfortable with her. And, but we knew it just wasn't going to go any further. The fact that we were both honest with each other about it meant that, again, she was one of my people. I was supposed to meet. She's part of my tribe, but it was never meant to go further than that. And we were honest about it. We didn't try and force it. So therefore we didn't end up ruining what was actually there. You got to stop taking things personally. You got to stop thinking that every person has to like you. And that's one of the curses of social media, is we think that these likes and these hearts and these emojis and these interactions and these people commenting on our stuff automatically equates to value, automatically equates to we should feel good about ourselves. And if we don't have them, we should feel bad about ourselves. It's really a sick kind of competition. When you learn to not take things personally, you start seeing these things instead of as rejection, you start seeing them as gifts, and your life gets so much more peaceful. One of the best videos that I've seen for this is Tyler Perry's. He does that character Medea. There's a video on YouTube. Just put in Medea, let them go, and it's one of the best videos on relationships and even for dating that I have found. And it talks about the difference between seasonal and lifetime people. So go watch that video. And again, don't take it personally. If someone wants to walk out of your life, let them go. Yep. Let them go. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
There's not. You did something really cool on your profile that you were telling me about, and that's what, 10 truths and a lie or something like that?
Yeah, so this was actually fun, and it was just kind of an experiment. I was speaking at a conference. There was that singles conference back a couple of years ago in Illinois, and I was asked to go on and introduce myself on some of these single pages that were on Facebook that were following the conference. And so I went on there, and it was like every introduction was, "Hi, my name's Todd." No offense to anyone named Todd, but "Hi, I'm Todd. I've been in IT for 14 years. I got like 6 kids, and I've been divorced for 4 years. And I like the outdoors." I mean, that was like every single intro. And there was always like, "Hi, Todd, welcome." There was always like someone who felt guilty after 4 hours that no one had done anything, that they went ahead and commented just so Todd didn't feel bad. Women were doing that too. Same things. "Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm divorced with 3 kids. Whatever, I'm into yoga, and I love the outdoors." So I got on there, and I'm just kind of goofing around and having fun with it. And I put, was on the show X Factor. I've wrestled a live mountain lion. I've rappelled out of a helicopter, served in the US military, lived in Hawaii, published songwriter, been to New York on New Year's Eve. I've met Prince Harry, have walked into a burning building. And then I can't remember, but I basically had, and I said I own a sub shop and I make sandwiches for a living. And then at the end I put, all of these are true except for one, which is a lie. If you can figure out what the lie is, you get a free sandwich. And yeah, I just left it at that. And I had, within 3 days, I had over 300 comments. And interactions and stuff. Like, it was just, was just absolutely crazy. So that's also a method that people can use to get people to notice their profile or participate with it. I had a lot of fun with it. I got some great interaction off of it. And people were going back and forth and guessing. And again, it's like my son came up with the fat polar bear. It was just a way to break the ice that was unique to get people to ask questions.
Absolutely. Definitely. So I have a funny story. I don't know where this gentleman actually felt that we would be compatible based on my profile and his, but okay. So we get on the phone. He's in California and he's like, dude, I'm so glad to meet you on the phone. I'm so excited. You know, you just seem so down to earth. You know, these girls in California, all they care about is money and a job, you know, but you girls in Arizona seem a lot more open. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like what is it that you do? And he's like, well, you know, I'm like, I surf a lot, you know, I got injured on the job and I'm just living with my parents right now, waiting for this lawsuit to come through. You know, it's going to be good when the lawsuit comes through. But like, you know, I mean, like I said, I mean, these California girls, all they care about is that, you know, you have millions and, you know, I'm just not that guy. But you Arizona girls, you seem a lot more open to this, you know? And I'm like, okay, so like when the lawsuit settles, because at this point, I'm kind of intrigued, what the heck?
Yeah,
Right?
now it's like, let's just for fun explore this one.
Right. Let's find out what's in this guy's head. So I'm like, so like when the lawsuit settles, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, what's the plan? And he was like, well, you know, I don't really want to work at all. You know, I just want to chill on the beach with my girl, you know, just chill. I'm like, so like you gonna stay in your parents' house forever? He's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, well, I mean, I'm assuming that, you know, my girl's gonna have a place, you know. So I mean, that's probably what'll happen, you know. I mean, man, it's just so great to talk to you. Like you're just so open. And I'm thinking in my head, like, run the other side. I'm like, well, you know, I really have to run now. It was really great talking to you. And, you know, thanks for the conversation. It's been interesting. I get off the phone and I'm like, block.
No, but hey, you know what? He might find a totally chill chick that just wants to surf the waves, man.
Let him live with her forever.
Yeah, man. They can alternate between parents. And hey, if it works, it works. I wish I could sit on the beach and surf all day. I would if I could right now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this guy just like, no, you know, it's been tough times, you know, tough times. Like, yeah, were you really injured? Because you're out surfing. You know,
Yeah,
they do take pictures of that stuff. Like,
totally broke my toe, man. Stocking
called
shelves.
insurance fraud.
So this is to kind of wrap this up and go back through it. So this is again all about honesty. And again, I guess you got to give that guy kudos for being honest with you about the chill life that the dude wanted to totally live. I mean, look at the Big Lebowski.
Well, and here's the thing, but when we were chatting, when we were messaging back and forth, he was a totally normal guy. None of that came out. He gave no indication of that at all. It wasn't until we actually got on the phone and I started asking questions. So I definitely think that we need to do another episode to this series and talking about, okay, once you've kind of switched over from you're now talking to how do you be safe when you're actually going out and meeting people, number one. And then once you meet them and there is a connection and you want to kind of start seeing each other, when do you know that it's time to back off of the sites because you're kind of exclusively seeing this person? And how do you have that conversation? Because I think that's a really challenging conversation for people. And I know for me, I was the type of person that if I had seen somebody a few times, I would stop going on my profile because I felt like, okay, we're seeing where this goes. But I also found that there's a lot of people on dating sites that are just looking for the next shiny object. they still just keep searching and searching. And even if you're in a committed monogamous relationship in person, they're still on those sites looking for what else is out there. And how do you decide when it's not okay for that?
Sure. I think that would be a fantastic podcast.
Mhm.
We'll delve into that. What to do once you've gotten through, you're ready to date, you've got your profile out there. Now you're getting attention. How do you, in a healthy way, communicate and vet? How to create a good, healthy vetting process so that you don't fall for these things. Messaging back and forth is great, but when you have 5, 10, 20, 15 minutes, an hour to think about what you want to say, you can say some pretty great things, but it takes a lot. It was when I first met Glenn Campbell, the only thing he said to me when he met me was, if you always tell the truth, kid, you'll never have to remember what you say. Shook my hand and that was it. He walked away when we were going to play blackjack. But that always stuck with me. And that's the truth. When you have, like I said, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour to think about your reply, you can lie. You can come up with the perfect thing. You can rewrite it, retype it, whatnot. But when you're having a conversation with someone, it's hard to be that good of a liar on the spot and still. Now, there are some very practiced people. We've all met them, both men and women, who are very practiced at being able to say the right things. They've done this in like you said, the serial daters who are just out for the next shiny thing. They've done this so many times. They've already got pre-recorded answers to the questions they know are going to come up. And they lead those conversations. Those people are out there. We're going to talk about how to even get through those as well. So
Definitely.
Be honest about yourself. Be honest on your profile. Keep the pictures to a minimum. And again, do a great profile picture. Do a full body shot and be proud of who you are and where you're at in life. 1 to 2 of the face shots with the teeth and the eyes. When you do your profile, be thorough. Keep it nice and broken up and easy to read. Just give them enough interesting things about you that shows who you really are, what you're really looking for, so that they know that they think they're going to be compatible enough with you, at least to get to know more about you.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. So, all right. Is there anything else that you want to add to today, or are we wrapping up?
No, I think that's good.
All right.
If anyone has any questions and whatnot, any comments about this, anything you need clarifying on, reach out to us, message us, and we'll either get back to you through private message, or we'll get back to you and let you know that we're going to address it on one of our next podcasts.
Absolutely. And Eddie, how do they find you?
You can find me on my speaker page on Facebook, Eddie Cunningham, and at Edified Living on Instagram. And feel free to message me through either of those platforms.
Awesome. And you can find me on tinavaliant.com for any updated events, workshops, or classes that I'm doing, as well as my email and everything is on there. You can also find me on Facebook. Just look up Tina Valiant. You'll find me. I'm there. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Aloha.